Tuesday, March 21st, 2023, and I hereby call this regular meeting of the City Council to order. Could you please bow your head for invocation by Chuck Clark?
Dear Lord, we come to you tonight thanking you for the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We can never show our appreciation for all you do for us, our families, and our community. We ask you keep us in your arms and protect us. We ask for your mercy on our souls. May we live long and healthy lives, but if we are called home early, let us be ready. Bless those who have gone on before us and be with those families. Thank you for guiding us as we take care of city business, issues, and everyday challenges. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Debrio.
City Clerk,
Oops, sorry, Mayor Debrio.
here.
Councilmember Finley.
Can we start over with the roll call?
No TV on?
Councilmember Finley.
Here.
Councilmember Lisi.
Here.
Councilmember Cumberland.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Marr.
Here.
I'm going to move to adjust the agenda. Under presentation agenda, I'd like to add a proclamation for World Down Syndrome Day. And also, we have Miss Judy Young with Coastal Mississippi Tourism here to update us on what's going on with that. We're excited to have you both here. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilwoman Lisi. All in favor? Aye. The next meeting of the council will be held April 4th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers located at City Hall. We're going to begin tonight with a proclamation for World Down Syndrome Day. And I have got two families that this has touched that live in Diamond Head. So if y'all want to come up, I'm going to read off the proclamation. And thank you all for coming.
Wait, I want to see the baby.
Look at the little bow.
She's going to stay up here during the meeting. I'm just letting you know that's what happens.
Okay. The City of Diamond Head World Down Syndrome Day. Whereas 1 in every 700 children is born with Down syndrome, representing approximately 6,000 births per year in the United States. And whereas the National Down Syndrome Society, the leading human rights organizations for all individuals with Down syndrome, envisions a world in which all people with Down syndrome have the opportunity to enhance their quality of life, realize their life aspirations, and become valued members of welcoming communities. And whereas advancements in Down syndrome research and inclusive community practices have demonstrated that early intervention, education, social supports, therapeutic care, and positive public attitudes improve each individual's chances for a loving and meaningful, productive, and satisfying life in the way they choose. And whereas individuals with Down syndrome are complete individuals who share fully the human rights to strive for and achieve self-fulfillment and reap the rewards of free association with the membership of their communities. Now, therefore, I, Nancy Deprio, Mayor of the City of Diamond Head, do hereby proclaim March 21st, 2023 as World Down Syndrome Day in the City of Diamond Head. So I have got a proclamation. If y'all don't mind coming up so we can get a picture. Maybe y'all want to stand in the front, and I'll give y'all each. Tammy? Hi. We can just,
Okay. Precious. That's for you.
It's not a good to hold it.
you want to hold this?
That is a look.
Uh-oh, you're gonna wax somebody. Watch out, yeah. I knew where that was going. I've read that book before.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
floor was better than your head. I thought he was going straight for you.
Next, we have Miss Judy Young with Coastal Mississippi Tourism.
Good evening.
Good
Mayor,
evening.
Council. Thank you very much for giving me a few moments this evening. I have handed out, and I'll have an extra copy I'll leave for you as well. I'm going to use it to kind of cheat on my presentation. Okay. It is in a Dropbox that we've emailed over to you, so if you want to share it, feel more than welcome to do so. The first one is actually the presentation, and then this with the Pelican is the annual report for the year, fiscal year, fresh off the presses. But Coastal Mississippi Tourism, as you know, is funded by lodging tax, specific lodging tax that is collected by the 3 counties for visitors that stay overnight. In a broad sense, Coastal Mississippi for the 3 counties, we see 14.6 million visitors annually. They generate $2 billion in spend. We have about a 69% occupancy in our accommodations that are those that report, and the average daily rate at about $100. It's really important for us to get over that 70% in occupancy because that frees up, kind of like opens the door for new hotel resort development. We've got to move past that, and we need to jump a little bit above 100 in order for new builds to be in the mix. Otherwise, it's mainly about traditional acquisitions, and that kind of funding for new builds probably won't loosen up until 2025, from what we've been told. One of the things we're very proud of is that every dollar invested in the Coastal Mississippi Tourism marketing, promotions, and sales generates $58 in visitor spend and $6 in tax revenue. $58 for every dollar spent, and those are all new dollars, so we are the only industry that imports wealth into the community and doesn't recirculate the same dollar within the same community. In addition to that, Coastal Mississippi, we have these great coffee mugs that when you turn them up on the bottom, it says 1/3. And that's because Coastal Mississippi, the region, is responsible for 31% plus of the visitor spend for the entire state of Mississippi. It gets better. For Mississippi tourism taxes on all levels, we generate 36% of the taxes from tourism for the entire state. And then, so you'll see that 1/3 more often than you think you will. We also wanted you to be aware that there are a tremendous amount of folks that come to visit us. If we include the day trip traffic, it's 15.8 million, and that's an 11% increase over 2019. We are hopeful that we can maintain that in FY23, primarily because March of 22 was when all the restrictions were lifted. And then, unfortunately, we had 2 huge spikes in fuel sales on gas prices. So you'll see on another chart where we track that, and it directly impacts occupancy. Within STAR and the Gaming Commission, the rooms sold for FY21 were 21.8 million and 2.2 million in 2022. Occupancy is, for this next fiscal year, we have 2 indicators. One is down 2.3 on occupancy, and one is down 4.6 on occupancy. However, average daily rate is posting above all the previous years. So it's going to be a tightrope to see where we end up. On the chart that tells you about the revenue, you can see in March, almost exactly when the rest of the country opened up in 21, 22, and see that dip going down. Then you'll see it move down, and then you'll see those spikes. When we hit almost $4, we spike down again in July. Those are just, we have a bigger chart. I can send it over. We track gas prices, we track weather, we track negative publicity, any kind of algae bloom, all of those things all overlay into that mix, as I'm sure you're aware with all of your own sales taxes. We've broken it down a little bit more for you in what each county is producing. Jackson County is an anomaly on this chart because they had a recovery of money that was sitting in DOR, and we knew it had been paid, but we couldn't find out how to get it out of DOR. So there was a new code on one division's part, but the new code didn't get to the disbursement division, so that's why that looks so inflated. You'll see me talk a lot about short-term rentals. I believe that the actual amount of folks who are in compliance with paying their lodging taxes, both state, regional, and local, is fairly low. I think it's just a learning curve and an education, and also the booking platforms that are used make it, they don't make it mandatory. There's always an option. And I'm not sure how many of us just check the option, sure, I'll pay more taxes. So that's one of our struggles as we go forward. The next area, I have the short-term rentals for Bay St. Louis and for Waveland. There are only about 11 that are in the Diamond Head area right now that are on a platform. And so I'll watch that as we move towards the peak season and see if those numbers increase, because it's a live count. But these are significant numbers. I've pulled every little community across the coast, and the total number in hotel tax, including state, regional, and local, is $5.7 million. So we have more rooms in inventory in short-term rentals than we do in any other category, more than casinos, more than resorts, more than traditional hotels. So that's quite a significant number, and I'm sure you know we've increased in that number 200% in the last 20 months. So moving on, our program consists primarily of marketing and advertising, always trying to be above 66%. The national average is about 51%. Salaries and payrolls, we always try to stay under 26%. The national average is 33%. And then ops and the like, nobody else does it lower than us. We're quite frugal, but we also have a great team, and we work very hard. We do have 3 other funding sources: MDEQ Wayfinding Grant that completes hopefully April 30th, 2024. And this area will have a entrance gateway welcome to Coastal Mississippi sign. Fingers crossed it gets included with the construction and remodeling projects of the State Visitor Center so that it can be on the same property, so we do not have to provide a maintenance fund for that. Truly, fingers crossed. We have a good chance at that. The EDA CARES, that actually is complete April 9th. And then the Tourism Recovery Fund 2, we just received funding, and that goes through December 31, 2025. Convention group sales, we do that for anything that's over 10 room nights. So any group that you have that's over 10 room nights, we can help with the room block, we can help with mailings and postage and a landing page, and help you with registration and goodie bags. It just goes on and on depending on how many room nights are involved. Our leads, we're up 129%, booked rooms 110%, booked business 123%, and hosted events attendees, we're up 226%. This is from a team of 3 responsible for all 62 miles and all the business, including sports tourism, which, as you know or may not know, is the highest visitor spend per day per person of any type of visitor that we can recruit. So as you move forward, if you have the opportunity for some sports facility economic development, I would encourage that. That's a great opportunity to provide your residents and citizens facilities and hopefully have your sports facility be booked and let guests pay for some of that. Those delegates that we had were over 20,000 with an economic impact of 3.6 million. Communications, public relations. Most of you are well aware that in most marketing programs at this point, over 90% of the spend is spent on digital, and we're quickly approaching 50% of the effort spent on social media and influencers and hosting travel writers. I've put some examples in your packet of different types of activities. We recently, last summer, did a very large shoot at Buccaneer Park so that we could get new assets of inventory on footage and diversity and new images, and those will all be rolling out this summer. So, you get to shoot a year ahead of time. Highest readership, we're very proud to say that in our top 10, we are all over 400 million on readership. This is enormous for us, and we work very hard. We have a team of 2.5 at this point who work on that. The reason it's important is because we could never afford to buy the type of advertising space that we get for this. If we bought the ads that we've generated through our stories, our media, and hosting travel writers, it would cost us $46.1 million. So that's the value when you see a Southern Living story or there should be a country living story coming out. I think it's this week. It may be next week. So every time we can get that type of activity rolling, it is worth far more than any ad that we can buy. And then under media analysis, news is always going to be at the top. So that's one of those things, that's why we track it, because we don't have the ability to control that. It'd be lovely if we could. However, anytime we want to try to make a balance, so we try to pitch more and place more than the news outpaces us, because we can control the narrative in those types of efforts and in social media, but obviously we can't control the narrative otherwise. And marketing, very exciting. Typically, if you're over 30% in awareness for your ads, you're doing great. Our marketing team, I'm biased, but they are rock stars. And we're at 61% awareness, 70% in the drive market, and 58% in flight. Total exposures, 451 million in paid placements. Top channels, organic search. Everybody thinks that just happens. Doesn't happen, just happen. It requires a lot of back-end work, keywords, backlinks, reciprocal links, making sure that our information is updated on multiple platforms. It was so much easier in life to buy an ad in Mississippi Today, put a billboard up, and call it a day. But today's marketing is like feeding a bunch of baby birds all day, every day. And every day, every week, they change what they want to eat. So it is a rock and roll effort of keeping up with the new technology, the new algorithms. And it doesn't sound very much like a tourism conversation, but it certainly is. We're very happy and proud to work for the 3 counties, and we have a lot of need for photography and assets and video. So we're doing an RFP to bring some of that on as a vendor in-house so that we can start scheduling that out, and we'll enable every community that we do get footage and photography of to also utilize that footage. That's all I have in a nutshell.
Well, that was a lot. That was overwhelming.
30%, just remember that.
You're doing an amazing job.
Do you have any questions?
Do you have any videos or anything like that that you can share that other people can put on their Facebook that are dealing with people from other areas?
I certainly can.
Because that'd be wonderful.
Okay, we'll send them over in a Dropbox. That'd be all right. Okay.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you. Great job.
Next, we have Frank Bordeaux with Cadence Insurance, our 2023 insurance renewal.
Thank you. I believe you all have the proposal
Yes,
in
we
y'all's
do.
packets. Is this on? On page 16 will be your renewal numbers. It's about a 20% increase. Some of that is just pure market driven. I'm sure you're hearing counterparts around the coast are having much larger increases, as was the case last year. Diamond Head does not have the property that a lot of the cities around y'all have. That's why they're seeing such significant increases, where y'all are at 20%. That includes looking at our valuations, increase in valuations. Diamond Head's done a very good job of that over the course of years. We're not seeing the huge valuation differences that you're seeing on some of the other entities as well. So some of the increases you're seeing around you, whether it's commercial business, your homes, or other public entities, are valuation increases on top of rate increases, which also increase your deductible. And so because your values are up a little bit, you're going to have a little bit larger deductible than what we've had in years past. And you did not have the rate increase that a lot of others had because you're not a layered program. We were able to place y'all with a single carrier, your carrier renewed. And there wasn't a lot of different exclusions that you're seeing on other policies as well. One of the big exclusions on your property policy is you can't use a public adjuster. Not sure how that will hold up in court, to be quite honest with you. If you chose to use a public adjuster, it's legal in the state. It's your carrier, which most carriers are starting to put that in after Ian. This is just starting to be a standard exclusion they're trying to add to their policies. Ian had a lot of valuation problems as it went through Florida, and they're adjusting. And so that's where you're seeing a huge increase. I do not anticipate the market softening for the next 24 to 36 months. I was over in London when the reinsurance treaties were being signed January 1. Every meeting I had with every syndicate, I mean, it was literally like going into a funeral home. I mean, it was everybody was down and out over there. Reinsurance to carriers, if y'all read, obviously, the news, insurance carriers have been massively profitable over the past 4 or 5 years. The reinsurance carriers that are placing the insurance for those insurance carriers have not been massively profitable. They've lost money 7 out of the past 10 years in London, longest stretch of losses they've had since London has been created. And so the reinsurance carriers to the insurance carriers, whether it's dealing with your homeowners, y'all's insurance, or commercial properties, their retention, their deductible went up above their maximum loss, which in most cases was Hurricane Katrina for most carriers. And then their rate on top of that doubled. And so that's going to filter down to the end user, us. Other issues are just the issues that we see. Ian was a huge impact. The war in Ukraine, which I did not know until I went to London, was a massive impact. Russia had commandeered $16 billion worth of commercial planes. Every carrier in London's on part of that, and very few of them had a terrorism or war exclusion on those planes. And so obviously that kind of loss was not contemplated in the global contemplation of losses. And so there's multiple impacts to the market right now. There's very small lack of capacity. And in this market, as all of us are dealing with on our 401ks, there is no investment income that these carriers are making. Typically, when they underwrite at a loss or break-even point, and they live off the investment income. That's obviously gone. So it's a horrible market all across the board. This is not a great renewal, but like I said last year, probably more to come. We're very happy on the Mississippi coast. We have capacity, especially us here on the coast. We read what's going on in Louisiana every day, and we're nowhere near in their shape. There is capacity in Mississippi. There are carriers that are writing. We're not getting the crazy deductibles that they're getting. One other caveat to this is we've always been able to dictate to the marketplace of who our adjuster will be prior to a storm. The carriers have not agreed to that yet. I've only had one carrier that will not agree to that. I believe we will get that done. We're not going to stop pushing until we get that. The adjuster that has been on this account knows our properties, knows everything about this account, and I think that's massively important prior to a storm of having that adjuster in place. On your other lines of coverage, there are no real differences except for on the cyber liability. They put a state inconsistency endorsement on that policy. I have not received it yet. We don't know what it is. It could be good. It could be bad. If it is bad, I'll obviously let you all know. And if it is bad, we'll try to get it taken off. Who knows? Some of these exclusions they're putting on policies today, but we are waiting on that policy form to get that. Other than that, y'all did get this. This is the loss report for the city. We have performed very, very well this past year. Actually, 0 claims on all lines of coverage, which is fantastic. This does have employees' names in it, and normally we ask that to go back to administration and be shredded. But it is good information. If y'all have any questions as y'all go through this, give me a call. And if we need to go through it in executive session at another meeting, we can do that as well. But all in all, we're performing extremely well. So I can answer any questions. On page 17 and 18 are all the markets we approached, what their responses were. And, we did have several carriers offer quotes, which is good. And our incumbent pricing still remains the best.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the bad news on the crime and cyber? I mean, what do you feel it could be? Higher than this 10,000?
Oh, no, ma'am. It's just an endorsement that they put on
Okay.
your policy, and it's a
Okay.
new endorsement. I've not seen it yet. We asked for specimen policies when we
Okay.
get quotes on all of our quotes.
Mhm.
We have not received the specimen
Okay.
policy, and so once we see that, we'll know whether it's good or bad. If it's cyber liability, they're probably taking coverage away from you.
Right.
But I need to be able to tell you that. I mean, cyber liability over the past 3 years, they're constantly taking
Changing.
coverages away.
Right.
And so we'll see, and I'll be able to report that back to the administration, let y'all know what that is as soon as we get that policy, that sample policy.
Okay. All
I
right.
just want to point out, anytime that sounds to be not a good thing.
No, it
And so I
sounds
just
very
want to point
bad.
that out prior to. I wish I had the policy terms now. We've requested it, and we still haven't received.
You always do an outstanding job for the city.
Well, thank you.
You shop us good, and I mean, you do the best. Well, you do the best for a lot of people on the coast. We can't thank you enough. And I was really anticipating, after receiving my own personal insurance, this being a lot greater than it is. So
There's some
thank you for
entities
taking
that
your
are
time.
seeing, 170+% increases. It's a
Yes, I'm
very,
hearing
very
this.
bad market.
So we need to be very thankful.
Don't
Did
buy a
we-
lot of property right now for the city.
Exactly. Did we budget 20% increase? 10? I thought we always budgeted 10. Next meeting? Okay. Any questions to my left? Any questions to my right? Excellent work again.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If
Mr.
y'all
Bordeaux.
need anything,
Thank
my
you.
cell phone number's in there. You can call me anytime.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you all.
City managers, ooh, we have a traffic study. Excuse me, Mr. Covington. I mean Benvenuti with Covington Civil and Environmental. I'll get it out.
No problem. I can assure you I won't raise your rates.
Hey, did we get a copy of the, did we get a
What's that?
copy of the traffic?
You do not have a copy. There was a
Okay.
couple edits I wanted to make, so I'm going to talk through. They're not material, but before you get the final copy, I wasn't happy with it.
I brought my 2016 traffic study so we could have a chuckle.
Oh, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're talking about is 7 intersections that we looked at. Of those 7, 2 of them don't have all-way stops, and 5 of them do. So when the administration asked us to look at the 2 on Kapalama and Bayou Drive, and Kapalama and Colo Court, or Colo Street, Koloa Street, we went back and looked at the 5 that do have all-ways to see if they need it. So Kapalama Drive at Golf Club Drive, you've got Kapalama Drive at Koloa Street, you've got Koloa Street at Ala Moana Street, Koloa Street at Calais Street, Koloa Street at Honolulu Street, and Anahula Street at Koloa Street, and then Anahula Street at Alamona Street. That's where we looked. Long story short, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control dictates if stop signs are required. For a stop sign to be required, you need over 300. Let's see, I'll read it, make sure I get it right. So the vehicular volume entering the intersection from the major street approaches averages at least 300 vehicles per hour for any 8 hours on an average day. So your major roadway, 300 vehicles an hour for 8 hours. If it does it for 6 hours, it doesn't meet. If it does it for 4 hours, it doesn't meet. On top of that, your minor street has to have 200 on average. So we looked at each one. The only one that met was Kapalama Drive at Koloa Street. You had over 300 on Kapalama for an 8-hour period. Koloa Street did not meet at the 200. You did not have enough cars coming in from that minor to warrant an all-way stop. Even looking at Kapalama Drive, at Golf Club Drive, Kapalama Drive didn't meet the 300 an hour over 8 different hours in a 24-hour period. So looking at that, we recommend that other measures be used. If speed is the issue, there are other measures for traffic calming outside of stop signs. So I don't think you need any 4-way stops or 3-way stops at those intersections.
Even the one with 300?
Correct. Now, it does give you a little leeway if the, it gives you a little leeway if the gapping isn't wide enough for you to enter into that major when the major meets it and the minor doesn't. We can monitor that looking forward, but as of right now, I'd say no. I drove it again today at 5 o'clock just to see it, and I waited for about 25 seconds to get from Koloa onto Kapalama with vehicles turning in.
And that did not meet that 300 for 8 hours, every hour?
Correct.
Cola took
200.
200? It didn't? I
Not
find
no.
that amazing. Okay. And you did it on Cola and Kaylee? Or you just did
Yes.
Cola? What was Cola and Kaylee? Because we have a stop sign there, and we have one on
Yeah, for those
Cola
that
and
have it,
Ala Moana.
they need to be removed on the minor. They don't need the 4-way.
So, Ben, I have a question. So if 300 cars, if it met the requirement on Kapalama,
It has to meet both.
Oh, it has to be both.
It has to
But
meet
where are
both
those
for an all.
cars going? Because if golf club and Capilama didn't meet it, they have to be turning there, don't they? So how is that less than 200?
Well, not all 300 are.
But where are they going if they're not?
They're
They're
a
going
lot of them are
straight?
going Kaloa, and a lot of them are going Golf Club.
Right.
If you took away one of those, then
I guess
probably
so.
the other one would meet it.
Okay,
Or they're going to Keno,
right.
because I usually go to Keno. But a lot of people go, I'm with you. They go Cola to get, that's a cut through. Like everybody uses that in Anahula. So I'm shocked at these numbers.
Me too.
How
So,
long did you,
I mean, we did a
Okay.
12-hour period, so I mean, we can
Okay.
do multiple counts if we want to go back out and look at
So
those
just
two.
How many days did y'all?
I believe we just counted one day.
Oh, really?
I'll have to get,
What day of the week was that?
I couldn't answer that.
It was a
I
Monday
should
through
know.
Friday, right?
Yes,
Or-
sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And school wasn't like out that week? I mean, there weren't any
Not that I'm
mitigating-
aware of.
Okay.
That makes a big difference.
and my thought on that is we're about to, MDOT is, not the city, but MDOT is about to rip up exit 16 and you're going to see about 10 times that amount coming up quickly. Okay, are we going to get a copy of this so we can digest it? Because that's a
You
lot
will.
to.
I'll give you a copy, and it'll have our traffic counts on it.
What was your traffic count just for giggles? So you had,
What intersection?
I'm trying to see if I have one that's on Capilama or Cola. And I don't.
So we didn't get over 100 on Cola in Capilama.
What?
Now, we were we got up to 491, 525, 565, depending on time of day, right? So from your 4 o'clock hour was 525. Your 5 o'clock hour was 560 on Capilama.
And this study didn't look at Golf Club Drive and High Point? That's a different one? Okay.
That's a different, we're looking at
Yeah, I was
that
just,
intersection
okay,
and
Just
how to
curious.
improve that.
yeah.
Now for golf club, we got close. We were at 196 on an hour. We're at 168, so you're getting close. You want me to send you the report and then we'll come back and talk about
Yeah, I
it?
think we do. We need to digest it because that was a lot of stop signs that were, how many were put on Cola? 3? 7?
No.
I think there were 4. There's one at, Ala
Our stop
Moana.
sign expert. says
4.
3.
There's one at 4. That's what I thought. I can tell you exactly where they are.
One may already have been there as the major.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we can do is I'll send you the report. It'll have a map in it and it'll have all your traffic counts. If we
Okay.
want to go, I'll look at what day too to verify that. And then if we want to go out for additional counts, we can.
Okay. Thank
All
you
right.
so very
Thanks,
much.
Ben.
We were
Thank
excited
you.
to hear that. Thank you. All right, city managers report.
Yes, starting off, we have Bayou Drive kayak launch repairs. The contractor is actually pretty much complete with that project. I went out yesterday and took a look at it. They are doing cleanup work and finishing up on it. So it's probably punch list items, and we'll be ready. Engineer probably will have me down there in the next week to do the punch list items on that. Looks very nice, and we should have that open back up here within the next couple of weeks.
I've received several positive emails. I wanted to share that with you.
And it looks beautiful,
It
too.
looks beautiful, it does. It's beautiful.
The Lily Pond and I-10 Pond dredging has started. I was just informed today that they'll be going out to the I-10 Pond probably tomorrow to start looking at that one for clearing and getting ready for dredging on that one. The Lily Pond surprised them as they started dredging it out, finding a good clay bottom for them to work on. If any of you driven by, you may see the bulldozer actually down in the pond, which no one was expecting to be able to do. So they were very pleased with that and have been pushing that up. Unfortunately, I know it's making the roads kind of dirty and messy, but they are cleaning that up, sweeping it on multiple occasions of the day. I even spoke to the engineer to make sure that was actually happening. And it's just dirty work that once it's done, it'll be so much prettier. We'll be able to get it all cleaned out. Park 10 Road, still waiting on a will serve from the Diamond Head Water and Sewer before we can get that project advertised. Phase 4 paving is still demobilized at this time, waiting on Water and Sewer to finish up the project they have around Bayou Circle. Currently, that contract end date is April the 16th with the new extension we put on. The Projects Review Committee meeting, our committee met for the first time last week. It was very good. It was a very long meeting, kind of to get everybody understanding of what all our projects were. But we did, it did create a lot of good dialogue between everyone and was very positive. So we'll be meeting again, we'll meet each month on that. Again, a reminder of the Planning Commissioner training will be held here on April the 6th with Tom Hood and Paul Watkins being here for that. I believe he has 3 current sponsors for that event and is looking for at least 1 or 2 more. Diamond Head Drive paving, the city received the 50% drawings from the engineering firm yesterday or Friday. I think it was Friday. So the plans were also sent to Diamond Head Water and Sewer for their review for their manhole covers. But we'll review over it and have the city engineer review over it and get back with them on that. On the agenda tonight, just added this on, item number 9, that is for Kenichi Engineering, says Coon Branch Drainage. That is actually 3 different projects. We just called it Coon Branch because it's kind of in that general area. But that is drainage area 41, as they're called, Kaloa Street and Alamona Place, and then lots 7 and 8 on block 7. So don't think that that's a $300,000 project for one job. It's a total. I want to say we're estimating about $1.2–1.3 million total for all 3 of those projects. It doesn't quite say that in his work assignment either, but I'll get him to update that so that it is spelled out clearly that is 3 separate projects that we're working on there. And the last thing is on Makiki. I'm going to defer to our attorney to give us an update on that.
As I promised you all Thursday, we were going to reach out to the bond company. We have reached out. We left them a message. We've sent them an email. We're trying to schedule a conference with the counsel for the bond attorney. We have, as of Friday, was it, Jeannie? We have uploaded all of our information that the city had, engineer had. We've gotten some information from residents about their claims, things of that nature. We've uploaded all of that. So at this point, again, our next step is, okay, bond company, what is your next step? We've got a road that's closed. We're going to move forward. We've got to move forward. What are you going to do here? If you don't do anything, we'll be recommending probably pretty quickly to bid this out and get this road back open. So that's where we're at. Once we do speak with the bond company, I'll be updating you all as to where we're at with that. And if there is anything, if there's a need for any council action or anything like that, we'll be requesting special meetings. I don't anticipate any in the next 2 weeks, but we'll be staying on it. So.
Okay, any questions for the city manager to my left? Any questions to my right? I do too. We'll start with Councilman Cumberland.
Okay. Did I hear we were gonna get cameras at the kayak launch? Was that ever discussed, or were we talking about out here?
We are actually looking at all the external locations, such as the kayak launch, the boat launch that we're planning on building down at Noma Drive. Looking at a couple of different options on that right now.
Okay. And what is the will served? Are we waiting on permits or something?
No, just the Diamond Head Water and Sewer to review the plans and provide us a letter saying that they will service the area.
Okay.
And that's the water for the restroom?
No, this is the
Oh,
new
the
road.
okay.
This is water and sewer.
Well, yeah, you need that. You can't move forward without that. Okay.
And we've had no communication back from the bond company yet. We reached out to them, but they haven't.
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
So,
That's all I had.
but I mean, it's not unusual either. We just got the documents to them on Friday, so I'm sure what they're going to tell us is, hey, we sent them a stack. So I'm sure they're gonna need time to go through it, so it's not unusual.
Okay.
Councilwoman Lisi?
Thank you. Anything on the Ramada?
Nothing at this time, no.
Same.
but-
Okay, and this is, something somebody brought to my attention that I hadn't thought about before, so I'll just see if y'all have noticed this. So when we talked about Diamond Head Lakes and the elevations on those homes all having to be different, we said that, we've got rules in place to make sure that happens. Well, somebody pointed out that they're all the same in the back. And since they're on the golf course, they're very visible. But apparently, according to this person who called it, the back of them, like they're all exactly the same. So I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't have the building officials here tonight to ask, but do you know? Do we have anything in our ordinances that address that? Because I know we've been concerned with the fronts. I didn't know.
I'll check with them and let you know.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'd be curious because it's apparently a whole bunch of them that all look exactly
All right.
the same.
Gotcha.
So, thank you.
Any other questions to my right?
Well, I was just gonna leg off of John's question. I had the same, the will serve, do we know, is there a tripwire, something that they are waiting on us for?
Not that I'm aware of. I want to say I talked to him last Thursday in his office, and he had the plans in front of him and said he'd been reviewing them and waiting on his engineering firm to review them and get back to him.
You know how engineers are, so.
And they have the complete set of plans for the new roadway.
Correct.
And that's a big set of plans, so maybe that's why.
Thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Okay, I have a few, are we finished, am I right? All right, so I have a few questions. First off, the residents have been watching the lily pond and the dirt being hauled to Noma Drive, and it's being hauled off to the old treatment plant site, the Purcell property. What are the plans from the Purcell property? Is the city gonna move it, or is that dirt staying there?
It is. It's just temporarily there till it dries out and can be reused various places throughout the city.
Are we going to, because here's the question that I've gotten text, emailed, and called about. Residents are ready to get the dirt when it dries out. So where are we going to have a place for them, and do we know when?
Well, unfortunately, with the weather predictions we're having in the next few days, I don't think drying out's going to be anytime soon, unfortunately. But it will be put back in the same locations that it was last time. I think at the end of Golf Club Drive, down on the south side, and then probably the Noma Circle there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it in those three locations again, as well as, of course, at the Public Works barn where if they wanted to come there and get it themselves.
And we need to make sure that they know that that is private property and they cannot go on that property, because I did see a Facebook post saying, well, that's where you need to go get it. So we may need to, can we put out an e-blast saying, hey, this is where it is and we're going to have it at these locations, but we're not ready yet, that is private property?
Sure, I can do that.
Because everybody's watching. You can't help but follow the trail to where it is. They
Unfortunately.
know where it is. The other thing I had was I've received several emails about the Diamond Head Lakes Boulevard, and I did go on it on my golf cart. And we have got to get some limestone put there because it is like we need some limestone.
Ron,
So did the
Ron
city
emailed
ta-
them this morning and told them once again, please, to put some limestone down in those potholes to cover that. They just did it maybe less than a week ago, and it's just so soft, those big trucks just pushed it straight down in the dirt.
And I guess my legal question is, being we accepted the plat, I know we did a maintenance bond, so we accepted the roads and the dedication. So clear this up with me on
Yeah,
that.
not at this point. The road has not even been completed.
Right,
It's
we
only
still
the
need
first-
surface, 2-inch surface
so
course.
at some point, and Ron has been really diligent with Elliott, writing them numerous times saying, hey, we're going to have to address the road, we're gonna have to address the road. So he has been on it, but the road has not been accepted at this point. And we do have a maintenance bond on the road.
So the city can't go put rocks, is that what you're saying? Or can we? I'm just
I-
looking for a quick
I don't know
solution
that
here.
I don't know that I would recommend that at this point.
Okay.
It's not our road at this point. We'll kind of look into that, but
Can we look into
Yeah.
that? Because there's big holes.
And I will tell you, their engineer is going to be out this week.
Mhm.
And so we were trying to have another meeting out there to take a look at it. So they put it off until next week to meet once again and discuss that road.
Okay, and I just assumed we accepted the road when we signed the plat.
we've got a maintenance bond and the road is not finished. We'll accept the road when it is finished.
Finished,
And it is
okay.
not finished. It is far from it, so.
All right. I received an email from a resident on Hanley Circle. And their concern was, and this is talking about the Hanley Place drainage that we discussed at the last meeting, where the city needs to go in. We still have flooding issues for the new build. This one specific resident that lives on Hanley Circle is one of the homes that the swale's gonna have to be dug down the sideline property. The resident said they were told that the city's gonna take their fence down and not put it back. So have we told any residents that on Hanley Circle? Is that a legal question?
I don't believe we have.
Yeah, I don't know
can't
that, I don't
say.
know if we
I
have
know.
or not, but it just, the fence issue is gonna become a big issue here in the city as we do more and more drainage work. If fences are up in the drainage, easement, residents should know that fence may have to come down to do work. And if it comes down, the city's would be, my position's always been the city's obligation would be to take it down, and the resident would then be responsible to put it back up. Now, has a specific resident been told that in any specific instance? I do not know that because I don't know the location of the fences, and I don't speak about fences and easements and things without knowing, because as we all know, the easements, the easements and where ditches are and all of those things and where fences are, each is a case-by-case basis. But if a fence is in the city's easement, the city has the right to say, hey, you gotta have that fence taken down so we can do the work. And so that's just the way the easements work.
Can we check on that?
I will check and see
Okay,
if someone-
it's on Hanley Circle.
Do you have an address or?
I can email it to
Stop
you.
yeah, please.
I don't care to
Yeah, don't say it
blurt
out
it
loud.
out.
Please.
But I mean, and they're concerned about that. And I guess their concern is it was a new build, there's drainage. Why does my fence have to be taken down? So you need to get with them and see
do
if,
that.
okay. And if you could let me know, that'd be great. We received an email on Kona Way about lots being cleared when they were supposed to just be underbrush. Did we get that resolved? On the south side, Kona Way, south side, the 14
Yes,
lots?
they did go down there and take a look at
Okay.
that. I believe they put a stop work order on that for that.
Oh,
as it was
okay.
being done.
Thank you. And I received a few calls from elected officials on this as well. So I know a lot of residents are reaching out to elected officials other than the city. They're going state, county. strategic initiatives and projects that we had for the SIP plan that we had for the Rotten Bayou restoration, where we had the Corps of Engineers come in. We had a team ready to go to look at the restoration of Rotten Bayou. Where are we with that? And do we intend to bring that SIP plan back up and get that group back together so that now that we're getting the Lily Pond clean, the Miller Pond clean, Rotten Bayou needs to be restored?
I will check on that and let you know.
Okay. Can you let us know at the next meeting? Because there's a lot of residents. Has anybody else been reached out about that? Rotten Bayou? Okay. The other thing I have is, and I've sent this to the city attorney, the vehicles that are parked in the grass on yards, in front yards, and the grass. And our issue with that is, do we not have anything in the ordinance that says you can't do that?
We absolutely do. As
Okay.
I've said several times, the issue with enforcement is it just has to be linked to some sort of public safety or other issue. I've always said if emergency vehicles couldn't get through, or if it's a nuisance because of rodents, things like that if the cars are obviously abandoned there, that's an easy one. But if people are just parking there, it's temporary parking, it is on private property, we do address it in the ordinance. And folks should just, reach out to code enforcement, talk to them about it, and they'll take a look at it and make a case-by-case determination. But it is addressed in our ordinance.
How does it specifically read? I know I need to go look at it, because a resident had sent us several examples of Madison and different cities and how it was written. Do we need to modify what we have? No, you feel
not
confident?
in my opinion. Not in my opinion. It's just there has to be the will to enforce it, and there has to be the decision that's the way it's, the interpretation of whether it's a violation or not is a code enforcement kind of decision, and that's kind of where we're at with it. Typically, those things, it's dealt with on a case-by-case basis as there is a complaint that arises. I don't know that code enforcement has the manpower that they're just driving around looking for that. So that's just but that's kind of all over the city. That's kind of typical. So, but as complaints are given, I recommend any time there's a code enforcement issue, have the resident reach out to code enforcement and make a complaint, and code enforcement will put it in their list and they'll go take a look. And if it is a violation of the ordinance, they'll enforce it.
And that's something, we need to work toward with compliance, because, this is all our property values. We're all in this together. So every time we have somebody that's not complying, it impacts everybody in this room. Every resident off 9,529.
Well, remember this too, is that, the city's function on it, it's more of, we've got to stick to the police function, the public safety function. Can emergency vehicles get in and out of a house if there's 5 cars, things like that. If it's a property value type thing, you're going to see the courts are going to look at that as that's not a necessarily the higher priority for a city function. The city function we need to link that parking ordinance to a public safety, a police function, and that's kind of where we've seen it. Years ago, Sean Tyndall, our previous city attorney, wrote for an AG opinion on this exact thing, and so that's kind of where we've always leaned on it, in the past, is linking it to the public safety.
And we can link it to whatever we need. I mean, that's linking it very good. I just think we need to, get our compliance a little bit more working. We do. See,
Agree.
City manager agrees.
agree.
We've got to tighten it up so that we
If you know,
can,
if you know a
once
code
it's-
enforcement officer, please let me know. I still need one.
the city manager is looking for a code enforcement officer. This is a public service announcement. And we know somebody out there is qualified, so come on in here and see him tomorrow.
I was just going to say, we're working kind of like with a half man right now, and I don't even know if we've got that many, but that's kind of where we're at right now.
And that's such a vital thing. It's such a vital part of the city. And that's all I have. I had a few more, but I'm cutting it off. That's all I have. Okay. Everybody else finished? All right. Can I get a motion? No, we had no public comments on agenda item? Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the March 7th, 2023 regularly scheduled meeting minutes? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the March 16th, 2023 recess meeting minutes. Motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Marr. Could I get a second? Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor? Aye. Could I get a motion to approve consent agenda items 3 through 10?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor? Aye. Claims payable. Could I get a motion to approve payable claims DKT 230504, DKT 230549 in the amount of $42,541.84. PR claim 000153 in the amount of $26,811.84. PR claim 000154 in the amount of $25,898.89, and PR claim 000155 in the amount of $2,223.58. Motion? Motion made by Councilman Cumberland. Could I get a second? Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor? Aye. Motion to approve docket of claims DKT 230550, DKT 230576 in the amount of $242,054.99. Motion?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Cumberland. Second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Lisi. Any discussion to my left? Any discussion to my right? I have one thing to say about the docket. I saw something on there that I know we have a Diamond Head business that sells the same thing. You know, and it may be a specific thing that they didn't have at that one. But as tight and as rough as things are, can we make sure that we go to local first and just make sure that we have knocked on every business in Diamond Head before we go?
Is this the one in the queue?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I know you have to go there for seeds. That's been a topic.
Oh, no, not that one.
No, it was another. It was another one.
Oh, okay.
But that was that was close, just no cigar on that one. Okay, that's all I wanted to say about that. All in favor? Aye. Could I get a motion to approve the building department's reports? Motion? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Cumberland. All in favor? Aye. Is there any public comments for a non-agenda item? None at all. Is there any need for executive session?
Not tonight.
Can you do whatever you need to do so we can get that road open? I feel very bad for those residents.
We are.
Thank you. And I know it's most unusual. Well, I don't even know what to say because I've never seen anything, so good
I've
luck.
Never
Good
seen
luck with
anything
it.
like it, so.
Okay. Is there any other need for discussion? Oh, we have a workshop discussion, Architectural Review Committee.
All right.
Oh, we're in it now.
We're in it now.
We
Go
have
ahead.
now entered the workshop discussion for the Architectural Review Committee. And we will start with Councilwoman Lisi.
Okay, and thank y'all for being willing to do this. So I think we have an opportunity to explore the possibility of establishing an architectural review board as support for the building department, kind of a first stop for people who are applying for permits. Right now, as I understand it, the process is that when people apply for permits, they go to our building official, and he's tasked with determining, you know, if they meet all the criteria, and sometimes that's a little subjective, and he's just one set of eyes, and this would be, you know, a group of people that could, you know, analyze some of that, and, you know, really another way to enforce our ordinances, and we're about to get a bunch of new, really wonderful ones from Orion with the 2040 plan. And it would be, I think, very beneficial if we had something like this in place when all that started. And I think right now, we issue these permits, and we don't know exactly what they're going to look like when they're done, right? People turn in a sketch plat, they get approved, and we hope for the best. I mean, there's not a color rendering, there's not, we don't know what color it's going to be, we don't know where they're planning to put their dumpster. I mean, there's all questions that I think we need to know the answers to when we issue permits. I have a little handout, and this is just from another city in Mississippi, just an example of what their checklist is for projects when they look at things for permitting. It's just really straightforward, but it includes all the details that I think we need to know. And then I think, this could even get into eventually landscaping. I think we need to look at the tree ordinance. That's another thing. But I wanted us to start talking about this so we can think about how we want to set it up and what makes sense for the people who are on it. I've been talking to people who are city planners in other places and just kind of finding out what, other cities do. And it seemed like a 5-member board is kind of typical because it's an odd number. And then usually they're industry professionals. So this isn't a case like where planning and zoning is comprised of just residents that we appoint. This would be people who actually, have some knowledge, architects, planners, designers, people who have some experience in that arena. And, there are lots of things that we'd have to kind of hammer out, what's the scope, how long would their terms be, how would those people get picked? Would it be a situation where they could apply to be on this board, and then maybe we appoint a search committee, and the committee recommends members, the council approves? I think it could be any way we want it to be, but we just have to, decide what's appropriate for us and what we want, and go from there. But I've talked to Pat and Ron, and they seem pretty receptive. I mean, I think they see it as a good thing, and I hope they do. I hope it would provide support for them. But I think it could only stand to improve the quality of construction and hopefully prevent a lot of problems down the road. I find that we spend a lot of time trying to mitigate problems that happened, and maybe this could prevent some of those things. So that's kind of where this is coming from me, and just kind of wanted to do this in a workshop form so we could just kind of discuss and see what y'all were thinking, and how we want to proceed if we decide to do this.
Anna, when you
What?
did your research, did you see how often the review board met?
Typically, once a month.
Once a month?
Yeah, I think in some instances, maybe twice, and usually before P&Z, not the day, but not the day before, but close enough that you'd start here, and then you'd go to P&Z, and some did meet twice though.
Is there any more comments to my left?
How many cities do you know of have a architectural committee?
I mean, quite a few. I didn't count. I mean, I could find. There's got to be a statistic somewhere. This one that I gave you the copy of is from Ridgeland. Like Flowood has one. Actually, Oxford doesn't. Of all things, yeah. But it's very, very common in Mississippi, and seems to work really well in the places where they have it. But I think it's something we should consider, huh?
I said, does Madison?
I don't think they did. I think their rules are so tight that they don't
And that's
have to.
where I want to see it. That's where I would rather see it. This is just my opinion, and this was my whole life, 40 years of working in an engineering firm. I would rather see it with our ordinances tightened.
But do you
The
thi-
tree ordinance,
Mhm.
you know, we had worked to keep Diamond Head beautiful and several, we had a 5-page tree ordinance. It was fabulous.
What happened to it?
It went to planning and zoning and turned into 2 pages, and then came before the city council, and I did vote no on it because it didn't have in there about the drip line. So, you know, tearing that one apart again, I'm all over that. But getting the ordinances, I guess, but I'm just a black and white person where it has to have stated in the ordinance, you know, we're allowing this, and it's not questionable, it's not debatable,
Right.
and it's not even where people can be influenced to change their mind. This is what's allowed. This is how it's going to be. If you want to develop here, here it is. It's written out. There's no discretion. There's no other layer of government. We just have to fine tune everything and get it where, because the residents think that we know when permits are issued.
Oh, I know.
That they
Right.
think that we do not know when permits are issued. We're not involved in that. That's not the type of government that we have. We do not, when we see a new home being built is when you see it. We ride past it and we see it. We're not involved in that. It's commercial developments. This is the only form of government that I believe the council doesn't approve commercial developments. We know,
Right.
unless there's a variance, we don't ever know about it until it's built. We do not approve. So I think, and this is just my thought, is to get the ordinances where that we feel they're right, where things are updated, and it's very simple for the building department to know this is how it is, this is what's expected, and this is how we move forward.
And we could certainly explore that. I just know that what we're doing now doesn't seem to be working. I mean, don't you agree?
Yes, it does, because I can name 8 homes right now that I'm not happy with the finished floor elevation, not happy at all. But, I mean, we didn't know about them till.
Right, right. But I mean,
So,
even if we knew about it, there's, we just,
Mhm.
I don't think we have a department with the bandwidth to.
Do you see this as being a board that would create the ordinances? Is that what you're saying?
no, I see this as another layer of government. Will it get done what we need to get done? I think we need to have it in the ordinances. We expect this, but we need to, this is a beautiful checklist, you know, so here's what I suggested on the facades for the developments, because my biggest concern was, you know, how all the homes looked. I suggested to make a list for the building department so that all of them, you know, would know, okay, we expect this, the roof has to be different. And I think Ron worked on that and initiated that. But we need to have that form. This is what we expect. We already have it. These are things that we need to work on this is just how I feel with the ordinances and get them where it's not questionable. Am I saying?
I agree with both of you.
Okay.
Who's the
You're a
politician
smart man now.
And I'm going
aren't
to
you?
stop talking right now. No, I just wanted to point out that some of these things that y'all are discussing are in the works, and it's great that we're having this conversation right now. And John and the building officials and I just met with Bob Barber again today. I was hoping he'd be here, but I think he likes Bay St. Louis more. He's over in the Bay. But they're just kicking off kind of what we did years ago in the Bay. So, you know, kudos to us that we're a little ahead. But remember, we've just updated the comprehensive plan. We passed the guts of the code of what the buildings are going to look like in the new town center. So Bob, and I wish he were here because he's a lot better at this than I am, and I hope he's here for our workshop that we have with P&Z. He's excellent. He knows this so well, but the way he described it to me, he kind of dumbed it down for me so I understood from the legal perspective, is we're going to move from a traditional zoning ordinance to more of a form-based zoning ordinance. So before, we would tell businesses, you can do this, this, and this here. We're going to group you all together, but do whatever you want. Build whatever you want. You just have to build it here, here, here. We're going to move, and it's going to require a real change in thinking for the whole city and how we do things, from the building department up. It's going to be the form-based, which is going to say, you can do different things in different places, but when you do, you have to follow these rules. Your buildings have to be set back so far, or not, on the street. You have to have this type of building. The use of it, you decide. If you think a hair salon's the best use for that, or if you think this, that's fine. But we're going to tell you now the form. We're going to tell you what it looks like, because as we've seen in our as the development's gone in the downtown, we've talked about signs, we've talked about the facades, we've talked about all those things. That's what we're going to get a handle on as we move forward. And so your point, yes, it's going to be built into the code, so it takes some of that subjectivity that you're concerned with out of it. And so we're working on the overlay of that district. That's kind of step one was the comprehensive plan and the adoption of the ordinance itself. The second step is now, what's that district look like? Where's the multi-use? Where's the conventional? And it's going to have those forms built in. If you're in this district, this is what you're going to have a range, but this is what your buildings are going to look like, down to color and things of that nature. And then the last step of it is going to be adopting and upgrading our zoning ordinance to put those rules in there so that we've got the proof. And
Okay.
and I've talked to Bob about architectural review. He's not against it. He thinks you can build some of that in and get rid of it and keep that architectural review board as your appeals board. So in other words, hey builder, here's your design. This is what you have to do. Oh, you don't like it? Go to the architectural review board.
Here's my concern with that, and I agree. I'm not trying to add more work for anybody, but okay, like for instance, some of the signs that are here right now, okay, currently in our commercial district meet the requirements, okay, for the sign. They are not aesthetically pleasing. Okay, our commercial district looks hodgepodge. It doesn't. It's not harmonious. But on paper, guess what? They all meet the size requirements. They meet and I just think we're talking about aesthetics, and no matter how detailed the ordinances get, the descriptions, the design guidelines, there's still going to be a level of subjectivity, and I think we need a group of people with experience in that arena who can help maybe say, you know what?
Yep.
Yes, you meet all the requirements technically, but when I'm looking at your color rendering, that is not going to be harmonious with the three businesses right by you. And then, hey, maybe you could consider this, and maybe we could stop some of those problems before we end up with things that don't look good.
I don't disagree with you, and it's the point that you both made, is that the way we've been doing it has gotten us kind of where we're at now. We all agree that's not working. How we get there.
Well, that's why I wanted us to talk.
Absolutely,
And I
that's
think
what,
it's a process.
How long until we get everything updated that you're discussing?
Bob is going to we're going to be rolling this out in stages. Bob has given, John, don't make me a liar, but this midsummer, I think he has given a goal and maybe we can accelerate that with at least getting this new district put in place. Because that's going to be, as some of the things I've talked to some of you all about individually, let's get this done before we get another business coming in. So some of that we can do, and then we're going to be playing catch up on the words at the back end, the ordinances in the back end. Because we're going to have a sign ordinance and all those other things on the back end. So mid to early summer kicking off, hopefully get that district at least identified. Which are the new because it's no longer going to be C1, C2, C3. And it's going to be, you're going to be really amazed. And look now, some of what you already passed is in there. Those building types, the form, it's already in there. So take a look.
I know plants and landscaping is really detailed. And that's something that we've been lacking.
Mm-hmm.
It really,
Commercial or business, or residential, I'm sorry.
That could be determined. I mean, the POA historically always had, a review committee.
POA used to,
They used to. In fact, I talked to Ernie about it today because I wanted to know. I'm like, what happened? Tell me the history, because, what happened to it? He's like, oh, we turned all that over to the city, and now there's nothing. So it's, there's just nobody keeping an eye. And I agree, in theory, it would be great if we could just put all the rules out there, everybody will follow them. I just don't see it happening. But I think we've got to do whatever we need to do to prevent a mess being made of anything new coming in. And residents are tired of hearing, well, it was zoned for that, so we can't say no to the Dollar General, another one, just
Well,
hypothetically.
yeah, and,
You know what I mean.
but right now, I mean,
Right.
we've been limited. I mean,
I know.
those are the kind of
Oh,
rules. I mean, when
I
a developer
I
or when
know.
a builder says, hey, I own this property and I'm allowed to build this here and I don't
Right.
have to get a variance. See, and that's where y'all have, the way it works is y'all pass those ordinances. Once you do, if a builder does not require a variance, he's not gonna come back to y'all. Your job is done in passing the ordinance. That's why this is a great opportunity that not every council gets. You're gonna repass and revisit every ordinance.
that's
So
why I think
now's your
we gotta
chance
get it
to,
right.
you won't have to, you're not gonna sit there at each application. You're gonna have done it before because you're gonna pass this zoning ordinance that says, hey, applicant, you have to do these things. So there's a way, there's a way to do it all.
Yeah.
And it's spelled out, and now it's not clear, and it's not.
No.
They all need to be updated.
It's not
But
clear.
and none of it. We have control over nothing right now on that
Right.
aspect. We can't say
Like, we
we
didn't-
don't like how that house looks, that new build. My big thing is the drainage on new builds. I mean, I agree on the facades, but I'm all over the drainage because we're spending money. Well, I won't even get on that tonight. Is there any more discussion on this?
No, I mean, I don't have I just think I'm not ready to drop it. I think we need to.
Definitely.
Okay. And maybe I'd encourage all of you to call your counterparts in other cities and ask what they do and what works. And I don't care how we achieve it, but that's my vision for the city. We've got to do better, and I think this is an avenue to get there. And if there's a better way, that's fine, but we've just got to make it happen because we cannot continue the way we've been. Or it's just not okay.
And I think we all agree on that.
So thank you for listening.
I'm glad to hear that you guys talked with Bob and Orion, and it seems to me in August of 2021, we approved the comprehensive plan, and that October, we said, now we want you to go and redo our zoning ordinances, and that's been about 18 months already. And I'm just surprised at how long it's taking, and now you're talking about not even being in the next phase, but the phase after that.
I'll tell you, these things are not, I mean, you'll recall, well, this was before your time, the subdivision regulations. How long did it, Mayor, you can tell us.
2
I mean,
years. I was about to have a stress heart attack because
It
so
was-
much passed.
it was 2
And
year-
every city had a subdivision regulation, and we did not, and I was not accustomed
It
to
was
not.
2 years after the initial 4 or 5
Yes.
years. It took a long time. And when you have
Mm-hmm.
attorneys and engineers and urban planners, and we're talking about getting, we're going to have a lot of input. And the good thing about the comprehensive plan that we did as well, and we got a lot of buy-in, Bob is really proud of this, is we got a lot of buy-in from the residents. The residents, when we came up with this conceptual plan for the new town center, we got buy-in from the residents. This came from the residents. The residents said, this is what we want. So now it takes time to get this stuff, and I know government moves slow and it takes time. Bob is on it. We are working, but again, we're ahead of Bay St. Louis.
And we spent a lot of meetings. Orion was here with residents, and everybody worked hard on it. We just got to get it moving, and we can't back down. I agree, 100%. All right. Is there any other business before the council that needs to be addressed? Could I get a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Marr. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all for coming.